The Labour government have just announced massive hikes to road tax for thousands of drivers, with many people now having to pay £790 in road tax. So this increase will come into effect on the 1st of April 2026 and applies to vehicles made between 2001 and 2017 that emit more than 255 grams per kilometre of CO2. So some examples of vehicles that will be included in this are things like the Range Rover Sport V8, also the Land Rover Defender will be included, a lot of the Bentley models and Rolls Royces, but not just some of these more luxury models, because even like the Toyota Hilux will be included, or the Toyota Land Cruiser will also come under this massive tax bracket. But it's not just these really polluting vehicles, because even the tax bracket below is now going to be increased to £760 a year. So this is for vehicles that emit between 226 and 255 grams per kilometre. So yes, some more expensive models will fall into this bracket, but a lot of quite ordinary cars will, that were made in the mid-2000s. So for example, the Vauxhall Zafira VXR will be included in this, even the Ford Mondeo V6 and an Audi 1.8T will also be included in this tax bracket. And so really what this means is that you could have a car made in the mid-2000s worth a few grand, and your tax bill is now going to be around 25% of the value of the car. So essentially these cars will become worthless, because who on earth would want to pay that much road tax compared to the value of the car? So essentially a lot of these vehicles will end up being scrapped. And now don't get me wrong, I understand why the Labour government have done this, because they want more and more people to drive electric cars and petrol cars that have far lower emissions. But what this is going to lead to is just thousands of cars made in the mid-2000s that are in perfectly good working order being scrapped, and therefore instead of driving a car that's already gone through the production process and used up a hell of a lot of emissions and power to create the car itself, now new cars are going to have to be bought and therefore obviously produced to then be sold to people who are then going to be scrapping their cars from the mid-2000s. And so effectively almost creating more pollution, because if you didn't have to buy the new car in the first place, you wouldn't have to go through that entire production process. And so this will also impact a lot of people who essentially can't afford new cars or electric cars, because they are quite expensive. You know, even some of the base models now for pretty basic cars are well over 10 grand. And so comment below what you think on this. Do we think that this is a good idea, and you know, it will encourage more and more people to drive more efficient cars, or is this actually going to impact, you know, working class people who can't afford new cars and actually have a negative impact on the environment?